So welcome, my name is Justin Letheby. I'm the E-Professor, and one of the things that I do is teach realtors or really small business across the area on how to take advantage of tech. Right now, the last couple sessions, this is our second Blab session. Usually to the right of me is Terry Whelan. Today, Jim is nice enough to be my cohort in crime for me. So one of the things that I do is try to train realtors and do that. I'm an MLS instructor, a speaker, presenter, CE instructor, and I do that kind of stuff. And you're trying to use Blab right now to help show people how to take advantage of tech. Jim, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. My name's Jim Shorten. I retired and moved to North Myrtle Beach, and I thought I've got to kind of do something to take care of my time. So I'd always been interested in real estate, and I thought, well, why not take that class? And I worked my guts off, just trying to pass that test for a couple weeks there, and coming back from class every night and studying. But anyway, I got through it. And here I am. I actually had my first deal yesterday. And so I'm from IT. I have an IT background. I did IT management for years and years. And so I know the value of systems and social media and that sort of thing. So I'm just trying to adapt it to real estate.
Well, and that makes sense. That would be kind of me and you both. I came from an IT background, but not as a manager, more of a trainer of IT personnel. So I always laugh. I said, I can't necessarily do that myself, but I know how those folks think. And I can translate it fairly well. Okay. Well, today's session is going to be really about 5 ways to grow your brand. We're going to talk about 5 things. So basically every week that we're going to do, I'm going to try to have at least 5 different ways of doing a X topic. For instance, one of the things I'm going to come up with and I'm working on currently, I don't know what will come out, is 5 tech trends that will change the face of real estate. And that's today. But today is 5 ways to grow your brand. So let's kind of break that down real quick and see what's going on. And hopefully throughout time, we'll get a little more people in here to play along with us and get in here and ask some questions, because that's really what I like doing. So the first one that I do and I like, and again, Jim, anytime that you're here and you want to do something, just thanks, Willem. And Willem, if you want to jump in and take a seat, there's another one open. Come and do it. That's, it's open at this point in time. Take advantage of it. Jim, anytime you have questions or you want to add a tidbit, just jump in. It's going to be one of those things that happen out there, and it'd be just nice to have some of that stuff out there.
Okay.
And again, Willem, you want to jump in? I know you're not real estate, but for me, it's anything out social media that helps that get across that point is out there. And it looks like you actually would probably have some very fun stories being an Australian water photographer. So my first thing as far as it goes is I think one of the things, now what you'll see in most news articles and stuff today is you will see people say the 5 mistakes, the 5 biggest things. And I don't like doing that. I like to try to keep it as positive as I possibly can. So my very first thing, instead of saying that people don't interact, one of the things I want to say is have conversations when you're in social media. So Jim, if you're out there and you're doing social media, you're doing Facebook, you're doing Twitter, you're doing Blab, whatever, it's probably not always a great idea, which is why I like this interface. I get to have conversations with you versus me just saying, come buy my book, come buy my class, come do this. I can sit there and say, hey, Jim, tell me what's going on in your world, and let's talk about it. Maybe I can help you. Maybe we can interact and learn from each other. And you see most people on social media, you see it on Facebook, and you see it a ton in Twitter. They're just blasting their products. They're just blasting their promotion. They're blasting stuff, and they're not building a relationship or a no-like trust environment with their clientele. And they can't understand why they're getting no hits, no traffic, no nothing. Realtors, I always laugh when we do these things. Realtors will do an open house. And one of the things that happens when they do an open house is they get nobody to show. And I ask them, what'd you do? Well, I put a sign in the front yard and I opened the doors. Okay, great.
Justin, I've got my first open house this Sunday.
Cool. So we'll tie that into that. So you tell me, what are you going to do for that open house this Sunday? Now, it's almost a little late for some of the things I'm going to tell you, but let's see what you're doing.
Well, right now, obviously, I've got my signs, and I'll have balloons with signs, and I'm going to put it out on Twitter and my Facebook account, also probably on my website. And we're doing an email blast with my broker to 20,000, of the folks that we've got on our email list, and also all the realtors in the North Myrtle Beach area. And and then we're going to basically have some giveaways there, some food and things like that. I've told the neighborhood about it.
Okay.
I think that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Oh, and I'm doing a print ad in the weekend local newspaper because they have this like real estate section thing. So.
Right.
And
and you bring up good points. So what you see a lot of what you see a lot of realtors do is they put a sign out in the front yard the day of, or if they're really lucky, the night before, and then they can't understand why no one showed up. But you've actually taken some steps. You notify the neighbors. You're putting it on Twitter. You're putting stuff like out there. The only thing that I would ever say is one of the things that people fail as real estate is if you're going to put that on the internet, you got to put that out Wednesday. Right, you got to put that stuff out ahead of time, because if you don't put it out there far enough, it takes way too long for the internet world to catch up to that stuff, to find that stuff out. And a lot of people fail by putting it out Friday or Saturday, and it becomes a challenge. But again, you want to have those conversations. So when you're hanging out with those neighbors, and it goes back to the same thing we're talking about here. Have a conversation with your Facebook fellows. You're having a conversation. You put that in there, and they're saying, "Well, you know what? This week is going to be a real beautiful weekend. I don't know what to do. You know what? Come check out my house. I'm going to be sitting there for 2 hours. Come hang out with me for a little bit."
Yeah.
It's those natural conversations that we can take place in any environment that you would do. If you're at a cocktail party and someone said, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend?" "I'm doing an open house." "Oh, hey, great." Right? It's not like you were soliciting. They asked you a question. And if we're in the world of Twitter or social media and any of that kind of environment, that we got that going on. Now you're going to tease us, aren't you, Willem, with all that beautiful weather out there behind you?
No.
See, you guys are nice. I'm stuck in the cold, right? I'm in Illinois. We got one in Florida and we got one in Australia. So I'm going to be just tortured here between the two of you. Welcome, Willem. Again, we're just going to talk about kind of like 5 different ways for branding and going with your reach. Anytime you got something to add in here or questions to ask, please ask them along. I'd be really excited to see what you have to say, especially from a totally different industry than ours.
Yeah, no worries.
So the other topic that I really like is to say in here when you're doing strategies to grow you is be yourself. And I really worry about this from a real estate perspective, because we get so many realtors in the world that just want to be so boovish, so business-like, so professional, so top-notch, like they're in the dress and tie all the time. You'll see pictures on the internet world, right, where these agents have been real estate agents for 35 plus years. And that picture, darn well, was taken when they first stepped into the industry.
Right.
And so is it really being them? They're not being them, because they're so worried about what their presence looks like and who they are. We forget about that. When I first started real estate, I started real estate 8 years ago. One of the things that I was told, but I totally disagreed with it. One of the things that I was told was, have that proper image, have that real thing. I don't do that anymore. You can see my logo in my Twitter account. You can see a lot of things. It's me wearing a hat. It's me doing various things. And it becomes so much a brand of mine right now that if I don't wear a hat to an event, they ask me, "Where's your hat?"
Yeah, I like your character.
But it's who I am. What's that?
I like your character.
Yeah. Well, here's a tip for you on that one. Fiverr.com. That cost me $5.
Oh, really?
Yep. At Fiverr.com. And that's all it cost me was $5. It was awesome. It was a very great day.
I think it's great.
And to me, it's just me. It's personality. It's things like that. I don't really worry about it. It's kind of hard to tell. I used to be a basketball coach, so right now one of the things I'm wearing is my basketball coaching gear as well. I don't go to too many appointments anymore in real estate where I'm dressed up to the nines. Because it's not me, and I don't feel real, and I don't feel who I am. That's also what I try to do in the social media world. It's who I am. I'm going to talk to you like I am. I'm not going to sit there and just blast you with things. I'm going to be a little bit of a smart aleck, so I'm going to turn people off, and I understand that. The problem is I'm dealing with 3 generations of smart aleck, so I can't fight it. It's in my genes, and I'm pretty much done with it. Right? So it's just one of those things that kind of happens, and you're not going to fight it, so why to do that? And really, social media world, they're going to sniff that out. They're going to sniff that out faster than anybody that I know. And they're going to make it very challenging for you to get that done. And it becomes a very big challenge that way. So I don't know. Again, Jim, for you, I don't know for Willem what you guys do in that regards. But to me, just as a tip for a newbie realtor as you, Jim, Just be you. Don't worry about that stuff. If you're not a shirt and tie guy, don't put that stuff on your pictures. Be who you are. And it looks like you didn't anyway. So it looks like you're pretty casual.
Yeah. We deal with the salt life, down at the beach. So salt life.
Yeah. No, I don't. But I can
golf
sympathize.
shirts. We're in golf shirts a lot. So
Willem, how much do you do in the social media arena?
As you said, I'm a photographer. I've been on social media now for, I think, 2 years, I think. I had Facebook. I got rid of that now because, the whole pay to promote kind of thing. And I just don't really see the point. I had a lot of look at YouTube with click farms and all that sort of stuff. So you don't really know what you're paying for. And basically I think I got up to about 60,000 on Facebook. And everything was going really, really well. And, I was my website was good and I was making a lot of sales. Everything was really good. And then the whole algorithm, whatever, I don't know, something changed. So then I went to Instagram. There are pages with like millions of likes and whatever. And, you can pay those pages for a post. They usually charge about $100 to $300 a post. And, those followers would come over to your page and something like that. So I did that for a bit, and then I got my Instagram to 111,000. And basically, I look at those followers as potential customers, and people would say, why are you paying for, all you want is followers, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, I do, because each follower is a potential customer. It may some of them may be kids, some may be old or whatever, but it's still people seeing my work. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But I've kind of noticed that Instagram's changed a bit as well now. I think that, I used to get a lot more interaction, a lot more likes and whatnot. And I think things are changing, because Facebook own Instagram. And basically Instagram's been free for a long time now. And, Instagram know about these big pages as well and about they're making all this money. You know what I mean? Charging people to post their photos and whatnot. And I don't know. I think, Instagram are going to be like, well, where's our money kind of thing. And they're going to start bringing in that, pay to promote kind of tool there. I don't know. But oh, really?
Instagram has.
Oh, yeah,
actually.
yeah. They have got ads. That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
I have noticed that, but I'm not sure even have you found out how to actually make an ad?
No, I've got to go back and look. I've got like 4, because I haven't looked at the paid advertisement solution there yet. I know I've got like 4 articles I got to catch up on Instagram that have documented how to get that done. But I haven't yet gone in there and looked exactly how it's done. My guess is and I haven't even looked at it. I wonder if I can. My guess is they have changed their website and they probably have added some ad solution there to get in from there.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I only use one social media platform at the moment, which is Instagram. Actually, no, I use 2 now. I'm using Blab. Blab's pretty tiny at the moment. I'm not sure if it's going to blow up or whatnot, but I'd kind of like to maybe hold maybe workshops on here or, just like tips and tricks kind of thing to that thing. Because in Australia and definitely in America at the moment, water photography is huge. It's massive. It's blowing up. It's crazy at the moment.
I would imagine.
So yeah, I'm just kind of cruising around and that's it. And I seen your Blab and I was like, oh, you were talking about social media and whatnot. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna come in and have a listen.
No, that's good, and I appreciate it. It's one of those things that I think is interesting because 1.5 active users are considered to be on Facebook right now. And again, that's kind of why some of these things I started off with these technologies is because, again, that's the most prevalent place to be. But I do think, and I think you're smart, I think Blab is one of the most interesting places to be in this. And for you, an Instagram solution is definitely, it's, Instagram's what? It's very specifically a photograph-based community. Not that everybody else isn't in there, but that's where it's designed around. It's really designed around people like me who don't know how to take pictures. I go, okay, cool. Can I take this fancy little picture with my camera and then put a fancy filter on and make myself look like a celebrity? But the people that really know how to take advantage and knock it out of the park has really done good. And that's one of the things I was going to say in here. One great way to grow your brand is to stick with one environment. Right? You know, if it's Instagram, stick with that. If it's Facebook, stick with that. Do whatever you got to stick with. And once you have mastered that, then grow on to something else. Because what we do is we find a lot of small businesses that say, okay, well, I got to do this because someone told me I got to do this. I got to do this because someone told me I got to do this. I got to do this. So now you're in 5 different hands and you're doing nothing with any of them. And it becomes a problem. And, you know, that's what most people from a real estate perspective, and that's what I do. Small business, I almost send them always to Facebook because that's where their consumers almost always are. You know, for photographers, I'd send them to Instagram or a different, you know, actually, to be honest with you, the other thing you could look at, Willem, to be really honest with you, because they actually had a very strong photographer community for a very long time, was Google Plus.
I've never even heard of it.
Google Plus was strong with photographer communities. Oh yeah. So Google. So basically, do you?
Gmail,
What's your email domain? Gmail.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you have a Google Plus account. You probably don't even realize it. Up in the when you go to Gmail, you'll see up in the one of the top. It's either left or right hand corner, depending on what browser you're in. You'll see your name with a plus sign next to it. You just click on that. You're going to go to Google Plus. You might have, if you've never gone in there before, it might ask you to do a couple quick questions. You know, asking about yourself a little bit. But afterwards, it's a whole community in there that's out there. It quite honestly, it's Google's answer to Facebook and Twitter and this stuff. But what they're doing is they're starting to break some of those environments out a little bit and separating them out, because what they discovered is they didn't want to fight Facebook, but they want to keep that knowledge that exists in there so they can use it for us and we can have a better searching world that goes on. And it's coming very interesting. Photographers took to that like water when it came out. And they've stuck in there pretty good. And there's some pretty good communities that are out there. Now, I'm only taking that from a third-party system because I'm not a photographer. Yeah. You know, I'm a phone guy that takes pictures and say, well, that looks okay. But it's one of those things where I think you could get a lot from that. And between Instagram and Google Plus and probably even Pinterest, to be honest with you, you probably could really have a lot of fun with those
when you
three.
kind of first
I would pick one.
On social media, it's kind of like you kind of confused like how it works, and you're like, nah, okay, then I'm not really interested in this, and then you're like, all right, whatever, and you leave it.
Well, what you're, yeah, exactly. No, I get it. I get that a lot. One of the things that really happened, and since we're 3 guys in here talking, one of the things that happened was when Pinterest came out, that was dominated by the females right off the bat, because they got to pick decorating ideas and got to pick, you know, fabric ideas and all this kind of stuff. And they had real fun putting all these boards in there that made it really fascinating and a real interesting challenge. And it really didn't take off for men. But what you're starting to see is there are some guys that are really starting to take advantage of it, like barbecue experts and home improvement people, things like that are really jumping in there and starting to make some fun out of it. Realtors, of course. So you'll see it a ton. We know how to destroy anything. So you see a lot of realtors in there showing all the fancy stuff that they can out there. We lost them. But that's another one, because again, it's obviously more photograph. You know, Pinterest is basically a bunch of boards where you can put different themes in there. So you could actually, you know, you could put like 5, 6 shareable boards out there and have like the 5, 6 most common themes that you take pictures of around your area, just to give people an idea of what kind of stuff you do, and you could share them publicly, and people, I'm sure they would flaunt to it. And like any other social media, you know, it's going to be about tags.
That's another thing I wanted to ask about. Like, I never use
keywords that you use.
I always see people putting about 50 to a photo, and I'm just like, does this really? Because I never go on Instagram and type in a hashtag. You know what I mean? Like it. Really?
It's how I'm getting found. Because I only have probably about 30 followers, but I still probably get 15 to 20 likes on every one, and it's not anybody that's following me. And what you'll see, especially if you do it from like your phone, one of the things you'll see on your phone that happens is when you'll do hashtag something, it will start predicting for you. And it'll start saying, so, you know, if I do hashtag social media and I can get down to about social, and it'll finish media for me, and it will tell me how many other posts have that hashtag associated with it. And you can decide at that point in time if that's what you want to go after. Because are you familiar with are either one of you guys familiar with what's called long tail versus short tail? It's an SEO terminology. So I'll give you an example. You can take either one, Myrtle Beach, Australia, right? If I use any one of those search terms, Australia or Myrtle Beach, there's a lot of people searching on that term, right? But if I do like Myrtle Beach townhomes in a certain subdivision, if I do, let's make up a name. If I do Havens Myrtle Beach townhomes, right? And I do that as a hashtag or a search term, I'm going to have more likely of doing that because I'm dealing with what less people are searching for, but still enough to make business for me. Okay. Versus trying to fight everybody in the world that would have Myrtle Beach. I lost him. He must have faded out on his phone. So does that make sense to you though? One of the things that happens is that you could do both philosophies, but what short tail versus long tail comes out to being is it's an SEO plus it's a SEO is search engine optimization. And what happens is it was used for what's called pay per click or cost per click, depending on, CPC. And what that meant was if you were going to fight Myrtle Beach, you might have to spend $1, $2 per click to get somebody to come in there to be in that top ranking on the first page of Google. But if you use, like I said, Myrtle Beach townhomes, it might be, you might have to only have to spend 50 cents because there's a third as many people fighting for that terminology. And you got to discover where that goes. Now, again, sometimes you want to use the long tail terms because you want to get the general exposure. In hashtags, I don't mind using the long term because I want exposure to the world. But eventually I want to knock it down to be something where I can actually nail it down to something very small, right? So I can get that key group of people that are out there. It's like, and I also want to have a hashtag that brands myself. For instance, I'm the e-professor. So I always have a hashtag that's out there for me. So one, I have a search term that always finds that, and I can, when someone wants to talk to me, if they use that hashtag, I know they're talking to me. Or at least about me, one or the other, one of the two. And I really don't care if it's about me or to me.
Down in Myrtle Beach, actually, it's Myrtle Beach, and we live in North Myrtle Beach, and that's really where I've concentrated most of my sales so far and where I'm doing most of my marketing. And I have a hyperlocal blog on my website, and it's all about North Myrtle Beach. But there's actually different, like they're almost like neighborhoods. There's the Ocean Drive area, there's the Cherry Grove area, there's Crescent Beach, there's Atlantic Beach, there's Windy Hill area, and those are all part of North Myrtle Beach. So if I was going to hashtag something, would I do Myrtle Beach, Ocean Drive, or would I just do the Ocean Drive? Or
I think you'd want to play, to be honest with you. One of the things, and actually it brings up one of the topics I said for social branding is my third thing, is don't be afraid to experiment. So I would try them all and see which one gains you exposure the way you want to, right? Write a couple out there that basically says that, more Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, Oceanside, whatever,
right.
you always be careful about how long it becomes, but try it one time. And if it seems to take off, bully. Now, one of the quickest ways I find to find out how people are talking in my areas is you can do an advanced search in Twitter. And you can do it around a location. So like pick an address, like your town, like for instance, your open house you're doing tomorrow. You can do an open house around that way. And you can put your address in the advanced search of Twitter, and you can do like a 5-10 mile radius around that area. And you can see what people are talking about, what hashtags you're using. So if they're using North Myrtle Beach and that's all they're using, stay with it, right? If they're using something else, as long as it's relevant, again, from real estate perspective, we got to be careful, right? We got to use proper terminology, and even you might have more rules than I have, or we might have different rules that goes on in there. But what we can't do is we can't use a hashtag that isn't related to what we're doing, right? So if you want to get huge exposure, you can't say hashtag Disney World, right? You're not marketing to the right thing. But you can sit there and say, North Myrtle Beach. It doesn't have to be North Myrtle Beach homes. It can be North Myrtle Beach because you're having conversations about that area. And that's one of the things that, I would look to be doing inside there that I think would really help to go with that. And again, the hashtags I think are important. Now they get overused to some degree, and in Twitter you only have so much space. But with Instagram, you got all the time in the world, and with Facebook, it's not really used. I would still put it in Facebook because it's a search item, right? As soon as you put hashtag, it's a search quandary. So whether or not it gets related or not, it's in there. I just wouldn't put 5 for each one. Don't say North Myrtle Beach, Oceanside, North Myrtle Beach, right. Whatever, North Myrtle Beach, whatever. Doing things like that's not going to help you. But picking ones, you guys, like I said, your hyperlocal blog, and you're talking about a topic, put it in there. When you're talking about things on Twitter in there, put that in there. Instagram, whatever it is. I would definitely do that because I do think from a hashtag perspective, having hashtags are essential. It is how you're getting found. And just so everybody understands this, the epitome of hashtags, and I know we got an SEO guy in here. Kenneth, if you want to jump in, you can always jump in and correct me or vouch for me, whichever it is. Hashtags. So Twitter is how the hashtag started. Short and simple. This is how I understand it. And Twitter was 145, 46 characters, and all it was your SSM. It was a designation where you could chat between SMS messages in an easier way between a group of people that were not in your phone database. And it was an account called Twitter, and you would text 40404, and you'd put your comment in there, and you'd have conversations across the world with everybody that was out there that had Twitter on their account. Well, it became tough. Once you got to a certain number, the threshold became too hard for you guys to stay with a certain conversation and know what's going on, right? We're trying to follow, it's a feeding stream. It gets hard to follow. So what the industry started doing, or we did as consumers, is we started finding ways to interact with people on Twitter. So there was 2 things that happened. One was hashtags, and hashtag was to follow a theme. So if I wanted to talk about the Cubs, I'm a Cubs fan right now. The Cubs are playing, and hopefully they're winning, but we will see when we get done with this. Don't look at the scores. Don't tell me. I'm just too scared. The Cubs have not looked strong last couple of games. I'll be too disappointed if I hear the wrong information. You just lost my train of thought. So hashtags are a way to follow a theme. So for instance, hashtag Cubs. If I was trying to follow a conversation of Cubs along the place, I could just do hashtag search for that, and I'd find all the conversations that go along with that. The other thing that happened, which is item 2, is the industry started adding what was called the @ symbol. And I could sit there and say @Jim, or in your case, @Jim Shorten. And then that way, right, you knew that I was talking directly to you. And that's how that was the 2 main things that happened inside there that came along the lines that made life a little bit easier for us to communicate with each other. Now, hashtags have grown quite obviously to be much, much bigger than that, where it has come to be simply a tool where people use it to brand themselves, to market something, to have a searchable way of finding content that is related to them. Nothing bad in there, but that's how it's kind of evolved today's market about how that stuff moves back and forth. With all that heavy-winded conversation, all I'm telling you is this: experiment and try them all and see which one take off. And I would use the search tool on Twitter quite literally to find something that works for you that you think is going to take off. At least understand what they're doing in your area. One of the things that we don't do nearly enough as small business people and as realtors in this particular room is try to understand what the people around us are talking about and trying to relate to that industry, which goes back to my first one. You got to have these conversations to understand.
I'll try that. I mean, the whole hashtag thing is
it's a long-winded answer.
I mean, I knew a little bit about it, but I didn't know as much as you're telling me now. So I'm going to have to start using that a little more.
I've been doing it way too long, Jim. Way too long. And that's, it's always funny because I'll do presentations like this for different offices in different areas, and they'll sit there and they'll see that I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook and I'm on all these things. But I start with one, right? And then I moved on to the other, and then I moved on to the other, right? But at this point in time, I've been doing this for 8+ years. So, even if I do one a year, I'm still behind the game, right? There's so many tools out there that makes that happen. That becomes a big challenge. Yeah. So
I'll tell you, he should really get on.
He was going to come back. I knew he had some questions on hashtag. That's too bad. Yeah, I think so too. I really think that Pinterest would be amazingly good for him, especially if he could nail a couple boards out there, be really specific what's going on, and have a really strong environment for his industry. And especially from a picture perspective, I agree with you. From a picture perspective, that's what it's whole designed around. It's designed around the artsy type of environment. The other thing I was going to tell him before he bailed out is I think one of the other things I think he would be very good at doing Periscope. And getting some ideas is behind. Are you familiar with Periscope? I think it would be fun for him to, get behind the scenes while I was setting up for stuff and show him what kind of what's going on. I think it'd be a fascinating option for him. Now, again, I've already saw it. I told him to stick with one thing, but I want to give you like 3 different ways
you're the best
outside that example,
and you feel most comfortable with, right?
Oh, I completely agree. I don't. My whole thing, and hopefully he didn't come away with that before he got kicked out. Hopefully he doesn't think that it's one and done. Play, and when you find that one that you find your voice, then you go after it and you make it happen. Until then, you're right. Do Periscope, do Instagram, do these things, get some voice, figure out what's going on, and then when you feel, this one's how I'm going to do it. This is what I like.
Yep.
Then stick with it for a while. Make it your baby. Make it your one and only. And hopefully it becomes something that they can really knock out with. So actually, let me ask you this, because this is one of the topics for you. On your social media, how much attention have you paid to your bio, or did you just write something really quick because you had to get it done when they asked you to get it done?
I actually worked pretty hard on it, and I've actually modified it along the way as well. But I'm thinking, nowadays they're talking a whole lot more about the about me's and the bios and that sort of thing. Should become more about what kind of services you can provide versus more about you. So I just saw that the other day. Somebody posted about, on your YouTube channel, you should have about me. But basically, don't go on and on and on about you, except about the services you provide, the content marketing side of it again.
Right, exactly. And here's where it becomes interesting. Yes. So do you have a LinkedIn account?
Yes.
Do you have a LinkedIn account? How about Twitter and Facebook? I would say they all don't match because they all have different environments and what you're going in. But they all should have the basic theme that goes across who you are. For instance, I know when I saw your Twitter account, your dad, husband, realtor, you love family and friends, right? You get some of those key things across from a. Well, yeah, no, and I get it. And you'll change it 4 or 5 times. That's, I think, part of the point, too. You got to change it, right? Well, that works. That works. One of the things, you got to take your personality into this. So, for instance, on my Facebook profile page, I can add which we talked about last week, I can add my business page onto my profile, and I give myself a title for my business page, right? So instead of doing the formal shirt and tie CEO of eProfessor of Real Estate, I wrote the big boss of Professor of Real Estate, right? Something a little bit fun. So when you see that, you click on it and go, what the heck does this mean? And you look at it and now you find out who I am and what my personality is all about. With LinkedIn, it's a little more clear cut. I am a speaker, professional speaker, trainer, CE instructor. I'm a little more formal with what's going on there because it's really from there when people are looking, they're looking from a business to business perspective where you need to get this done. And Twitter's a little different. I think Twitter's fine because Twitter is a more casual environment, right? It's to me, what you got is you got LinkedIn, which I consider is a shirt and tie environment for the most part. I mean, it's a little bit that way. You've got Facebook, which is I consider that kind of like a cocktail party, right? You're not going to necessarily see everybody dressed to the nines, but they're going to be dressed fairly well. And they're trying to always put their best foot forward. Twitter, as far as I'm concerned, is kind of like,
say this.
It's kind of like the I'm trying to say this
for lack of better terms.
Perfect.
kind of like the beach bum environment. For
so it's just a catch. We're going to get on there. We're going to take care of some various things and get that done.
Right. So it's just a catch. We're going to get on there. We're going to take care of some various things and get that done. And, you know, it just kind of works that way. And so I think when you're putting your bio in there and you're doing that stuff, you got to be, you know, according to where you're at in that environment. So, you know, shirt and tie environment, right? Shirt and tie stuff. You're in the, you know, the casual party stuff, you know, put the casual party information, something that's pertinent, but have a little bit of fun because you're still gonna be a little bit of fun. And you're on Twitter, have fun. Because it's just what it is. And it just kind of goes back to that. Before I go on to the last thing, I do want to go over this because I think it might be pertinent. And again, Nikita, if you want to come on in and we can talk to you directly about Periscope. But she asked about Periscope. What Periscope is essentially in very, very short environment is it is designed to be, and I left my phone in the other room so I can't show you, but it's designed to be a live web feed from your phone where you can have conversations kind of like we're doing here in Blab, but it's just you with one other person. It's just you. And the comment thread is the other people. So what you'll see is people doing all sorts of events around the country. They'll show what's going on in their backyard. They'll be talking to you. They're doing whatever, and they're having conversations and trying to get you to interact for that stuff. From a real estate perspective, one of the things that I encourage agents doing is open house tours. You got to get permission. Got to get permission, but open house tours. You know, first looks type of thing. Q&A sessions, you know, come in there in the morning, have a Q and say, you know, coffee with Jim.
Yeah.
I'll ask you questions while I'm having my breakfast, right? We'll answer, we'll have a conversation. You know, those things are kind of what that is about. And I think it's great, you know, and, you know, you're doing something, I think, Nikita, with education, or maybe not, I don't know. That's a quote, it looks like. You know, for me, I do it a lot with my classrooms. I'll do behind the scenes, me setting up, me getting things going on, or, you know, maybe I'll have a conversation that I had during class. So, you know what, this is a good topic before I leave and I lose my brain power on this. Let's sit down and have a quick chat on it. And I think it works great for that stuff. If you are going to use Periscope, one of the tools that I recommend is a website called catch.me. And what happens with that one is when you're in there, you will, it will capture your video for you. So now you can use it anywhere else. You can put it on YouTube. You can repurpose that material and go elsewhere with it. You know, kind of branding yourself and trying to grow your reach a little bit. You can technically do it from inside the Periscope app. The problem becomes twofold. One, you may not have enough memory, depending on how full your phone is, to save that video. Two, the problem that I run into a lot is it doesn't always save. So I'm going, okay, great. I don't have it anymore. Well, and when that happens once, you're going, okay, I got to find a solution. And I discovered catch.me, and it's been working great. So every time I do a Periscope or something like that, it is done, and it's a beautiful day, and I just know it's there, and I don't got to worry about it. And actually, what I love about Catch is it gives me a weekly summary update. Because it's actually a website people can go look at. Not enough people know about it right now, but they can go look at it, and I get a review on catch.me every week. Tell me what's been done. It's actually
I'm taking a quick break, Justin. I'll be back.
That works. Okay. My pleasure. Again, if you want to come in. If you don't, that's fine too. You can ask questions any way you want. Have a good one. Welcome, Carlos. If you want to come in and ask some questions, that's fine. We're just getting about done here in a second. And just we're talking about kind of 5 tips to grow your brand. You didn't want to. So the last tip real quick, and while we got hardly anybody here, is I do think the best way right now today, one of the stats was read last week to me, is video. 79% of all video by 2019, all things viewed on the internet by 2019 will be video. I'll repeat that again. By all means appropriate, all things that will be viewed on the internet will be by video is going to be 79% of the websites. Which simply means we're all starting to watch a lot more video and a lot more things. So to me, if you're not posting things that have pictures, you're not posting things that have video specifically, you are going to be chasing your tail in the very near future. And it's going to be trouble. And it becomes a very interesting challenge that happens with that. So one of the things that I would recommend is start getting good, coming to things like this with Blab, come into Periscope, come into these other tools that exist out there, and make sure that you have a good grasp of where that video is going. Because right now it's good to fail today. It will not be good to fail in even about 2 years. And actually, I have been telling people video for about the last 2 years to begin jumping on this act. They keep saying video is the future. I think video is today. And if you want to be doing it well when it becomes the future, do it today. Practice, get on things, do quick videos, do whatever. Again, if you don't like them, delete them. I would keep them from posterity perspective, but you can feel free to delete anything you want. Do what you need with it. But do it now, because the only thing you're doing now is failing forward, because you're practicing getting used to your voice. Because again, when you listen to yourself, you don't sound the same way you do in your own head. And get good with it, and really start mastering that, and make sure it works for you. So as a recap, because we're just about done here and my cubbies are playing and I need to make sure I get them. One of the things we just finished up while we were taking your break was I was saying use video and doing what you're doing here. I think Jim, you're on the right track here by getting on these things. Is they say 79% of all website views will be based on video by 2019. I think that might be high, but I think it's close enough to be irrelevant of what I think. The point for that whole stat is to say this: if you think that is at all close to being true, you need to be doing this kind of stuff today so you can find your voice on here. You can find how you're doing, because if you are not doing it, then
I couldn't agree more.
You're losing business.
And I'm starting to practice with it. I mean,
fast.
I've done a couple of videos, and I've got my wife helping me with me, some iMovie stuff, even using some pictures. But now I'm starting to do more live video. Cool. You know, just being in front of the camera, and you know, instead of a selfie, you're actually doing a live selfie. You know, with the video. And it's, you know, I'm getting used to it. It's like tonight, you know, when I was with George and those guys, you guys last week, I mean, there's no way I would have jumped on, but, you know, today you said, hey, jump on. And I'm like, well, yeah, why not? You know? So it's
I appreciate it. No, and that's good. It's good that you do that. We fail, and you'll find this a lot. Which company? Not that it's important, but which company are you with in
It's a little boutique.
Is it a private or is it a big one?
They do property rentals as well, vacation rentals.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, yeah, I should have guessed. One of the things you'll see across the board with realtors, one of the things that we have a real hard time with is we think our own perception of how people see us is how everybody else sees us. Right. So we don't want to come onto environments like this and portray something that we are not, or what we think we are. And I always laugh because I don't, it's not a direct quote, but essentially there was some quote that basically said this: we're the only ones that really don't see who we are. Right. You know, everyone sees the mirror. We only see a mirror image of ourselves. You know, that's the best chance we get. Everyone else gets a direct look at us every time we come out in public. So they know who we are. They have a first impression of us no matter what. If you're, 200 pounds, you're 50 pounds, you do whatever, you've changed your hair, whatever, you always have an image of how you look because you don't see yourself all the time. And realtors fight that every day. And the people that just don't care are going to have the biggest advantage in this whole environment, because they're the ones that are going to go out there and say, look, I'm just going to get it done. We're going to say who it is, have a great day, and move on. And to be honest with you, the ones that I have seen do this best are millennials who just don't care. They've been used to this stuff every day of their life. And to really newer agents, kind of like yourself, that is out there and simply just don't know any better to be worried about their image. You know, they were taught for so many years that their image is the only thing. And I do think image matters,
Well,
but I think really
everything
the
I
truest thing about image
nowadays
is just be
Justin
who
is
you are.
be authentic.
And well, the internet has done a really good job of sniffing out
That's
the
true.
the unauthentic people. Have you ever heard? Well, I don't know if you'd heard this yet or not. So Walmart, what was this? Probably 6-7 years ago. It was right when I first started real estate. Walmart was having a really good blogger. And when it was first started, it was not known who this blogger. It was known who this blogger was. It was not known any relationship to this blogger was. But so Walmart, what they would do is allow for campers and RVs to hang out in the parking lot overnight and sleep out, right? So there was a blogger that would write,
Wow.
you know, and they would rate the
That's great.
Walmarts that they stayed at. What happened though was, and it was perceived well because they'd go in there. It was a great thing. This person was considered awesome. What was found out was they got sniffed out, and they were not direct employees, but they were basically hired by Walmart to do this.
Bummer.
And it got sniffed out.
Right.
And you know, so it put a stink on it, right? And one of the things that happens inside here is the same thing. If you are not who you are, one, people's BS meter goes to the roof, right? Two, people just turn you off. You know, I don't mind getting turned off as long as it's based on me, right? If I'm, you know, if no one likes how I'm talking, how I'm doing things, okay, fine. You know, that's fine. I'm not for everybody. I'm pretty okay with that. But if you don't know that because I'm trying to be someone else or trying to be what I think what everybody wants to attain to, you know, maybe real goofy, real wacky type of thing. Well, okay, that's great. I just don't know if they were buying my gimmick or if they were buying me. And it becomes a challenge. And I agree. Long answer short again is I think authentic is the only way to do it because one, I don't know how people do it. I think it would be too much work to try to be something else and I'm not.
Not us, right?
Well, you know, no. Well, I'm up there. I'm not at retiree age yet, but I'm getting closer every day. And to me, it's just too hard to be something else. And I wouldn't want to do that. Hey, Jason, if you want to come on in and check in, we're just about ready to check out though. So if you want to come in and share any of your great thoughts.
I got a question for you, Justin. Specific to Twitter. How would you recommend I get more followers of people that I could potentially become clients or at least refer other people to me down in this North Myrtle Beach area?
So say that again. With Twitter, you want to have people, you can grab people inside of Twitter
and reach out to more people.
I wouldn't worry about more. I would worry about quality, right? So for instance, I got 1,600 followers in my Twitter feed. Actually, I probably got more than that at this point in time. I would say, to be honest with you, the last 300 are my best clients possible, my best customer base, because it's the ones where I've actually spent time being who I am. If people are joining to find out more about me. For instance, I've had 3-4 people follow me tonight on Blab. And I know it's because they're following me on this, who's more really me than me just going out and buying all these gimmicks and all these scams that say, you know, get more followers. So I think there are a couple direct ways to make it happen that are going to be a little more authentic to you. One, things like this, right? You have to link up to Twitter to have this. So things like Periscope and I think Blab are going to be key for authentic Twitter growth, because they have to be on there to follow you. Two, one of the things that I am teaching right now, I'm building a CE class on this, is I call it the 5 steps to successful internet marketing. And you already got one of them, I think, nailed, right? You're trying to build niches in areas, right? North Myrtle, Ocean Beach, you know, whatever you got these various terms that are out there, and you're trying to nail these areas. So when you have those areas, build what I call giveaways. And what you do is when you build giveaways, so a giveaway would be like a little report. Now, again, stay realtor safe, right? Don't do anything you can't do. Don't do anything that Florida says you can't do as far as marketing goes. And make sure you have all the proper information on that you got to put anywhere you got to put: Twitter, social media, the reports, whatever. For instance, in Illinois, I can't stealth market. So anytime I have a website or a landing page, I have to make sure it says Keller Williams on it. I don't know if you have that same rule in Florida or not. I would think you do, since we have reciprocity in Florida.
Willem was in Florida.
But I can't guarantee that.
That's all right. That's all right.
Oh, I see. I do that every time to you. No, you know, and yeah, I do that every time to you. Sorry about that. So either way, I know that one. I definitely don't know. Then I don't know on Myrtle Beach if your state has, stealth marketing rules or not. But either way, I would have a giveaway that you can give away and do it legally. But one of the things that I'd be doing inside there is you do that, and then you have a link on your website that goes to a landing page that will give that away. But before you give it away, you'll give 5, 6 different pieces individually of that information away on Twitter. Home sale prices rose. Here's the best buying areas. Here are some of the best shopping, things like that. Build these little one-offs, put them back to your blog. And then you're going to have people starting to follow you more and more because you're starting to get that done. You have blogs, microblogs. I would be posting that on the microblog and putting it out there. And don't be afraid to put it multiple times. And you could do things like IFTTT that will take the blog RSS feed and automatically post it on Twitter. Try it. Right. Or if you got Hootsuite, you could try that too. That'll automatically post it for you. Test it out. One of the things that I always worry about those auto feeds is and people sniff it out. It's not authentic and not authentic as far as it's not who you are. It's not authentic because they know it's a robotic form that's going out. I'm not saying but don't be surprised if your growth doesn't happen a lot. One of the things that you can do though, if you're on Twitter or Hootsuite and you have that, or you're on a couple other aggregators of sorts, is you can, like, I recommend this all the time. Sundays are my day to get some of that kind of nonsense stuff done, where I get into Hootsuite and I will post 15, 20 things on Twitter, on Facebook, on, whatever I can post on, and it's scheduled. So I wrote something specific to that article, something that's going on, put it out on there, and it's still templated, it's still scheduled, but it has my verbiage on there that I wanted to put on there that doesn't say, come check out the latest article, come check out this, right. Something that's not truly authentic. Yeah, and that's a good one too, Omar. I do love, I shouldn't say I love Zapier, but I've just heard about Zapier a lot and had the same kind of functionality. Zapier would be the same strategy. And you might want to use both of them because you could do a couple different things with each one. But that's some of the things that I'd be trying out. The other thing is, you can get into magazines. So one of the other great strategies to get in there to get some more strength and feedback is find related articles in your area and share them on Twitter. Hey, I love this article on the local X restaurants or whatever. Take a look at it. I really enjoyed it. Again, hashtag the crap out of it. When I mean that's 2, maybe 3. But, hashtag it, put, and put it out there, and you're going to start getting those followers. You're going to start getting that out there. Realize that this will be a slow bird to grow because you are simply dealing with an environment that is dealing with approximately 300 million users. So one of the things you are dealing with inside that environment is that's just a rotating feed. It's going to be hard to find unless you are people searching for getting it out there. The other thing that I like doing that will help you is if you're trying to really grow that list, again, right. Do that search that I told you about, and then put some of those people that you want to follow into a list. Are you familiar with Twitter lists? So if you're in Twitter, you can do lists, and you can actually put people in your list that you want to follow. And then, every morning you can pull that list up and see who's talking, and then you can reply back to them. And the nice thing about it is you can follow them, but if you don't want to follow them yet, you don't have to. You can simply have them in Twitter in that list, and you can write back and forth to them, and hopefully you can encourage conversations, get some of that growth to happen naturally, and just kind of go from there and get that going. I love lists because Twitter at this point in time is an unmanageable beast unless you have lists running for you. And I would do that across the board. I would do that in your communities, but I would also do that with real estate professionals across the area, because that's a great way to build a network, a referral network, and work from there to try to get that growth and that reputation. Terry, who's my cohort in crime that bailed on me earlier today, just teasing Terry. He does that a lot. He builds a lot of lists. And I know when he's conversing with people, it's mostly that he's got these lists that he goes back and forth with and has a lot of strong conversations with.
I got
and
one last question,
really pretty
Justin.
well that way.
So with content marketing,
Sure.
is it better to kind of come up with your own original, basically author your own original, whatever it is you're going to say about something, or is it better off to comment on some other article that you find somewhere?
I heckled him, Jim, and he's coming on in. See what happens.
Just when you're ready to watch the game.
I'm surprised. I thought he would just say, I just got caught up in a meeting, I couldn't make it. I would say, to be honest with you, the answer is a mixture of both. One, I think it's too hard to write too much material all the time. But two, I think that there are just other documents in other areas out there that are going to grab you better exposure by writing their articles. I love pulling from Inman and from my local Illinois Realtor magazine, or we have like a Chicago Realtor magazine. I love pulling those articles and sharing it with my groups of people because I think it's important. And to be honest with you, they write good articles. I'm not going to write them. But when I have a topic I'm passionate about, then I'll put it out there and I'm good with it. So I don't know if that really answers what you want.
I know.
To me, it's
I was
both.
in the Washington, D.C. area for 40 years, and one of the hottest websites there was called the Drudge Report. And he basically didn't write anything, but all he did was find things from all over the place and brought them into his site. So, I guess it works.
I don't want to know score, Terry.
Not yet.
Because I could get disappointed, okay. I'm sure.
So far, so good.
Not yet.
So far, so good. That's why I came in here. It's on in the other room.
Tell me.
I won't pay attention. So, sorry I'm late. Went from one call to another. So,
I can't get. That's not a bad thing, man. Being busy is a good thing. I was trying to convince Jason to come on in too.
But if I can,
he didn't come in though.
If I can jump in really quick on what Jim just said,
so yeah,
we
basically
talked about it last week a little bit. I think long term, creating your own content is always going to be the best thing, because people are going to want to follow what you have to say. They're going to want to follow your personality, your insights. So that's always going to be where you want to focus. I totally agree with Justin. You can bring in both. But I think, you're going to get the most traction when you create your own.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, a lot of things I read too was,
for sure. No,
I really want to come as to people to think you're the authority. So if you're able to write things and again, what you said, Justin, too, was, maybe stick to things you're passionate about. And I think that hits home. I mean, first of all, it's so much easier to write about something you're passionate about versus some kind of an article that you think, oh, well, I've just got to kind of write something about this and you're really not into it. I guess probably better to just, reference something like that and maybe make, some commentary about it. But, stick to what you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you, Terry.
You too.
Are we here or did I lose everybody?
Co-host. All right.
Did I finally make you co-host?
Yeah, I mean, now, I don't know if it's just me, but you're getting a poor signal. You're coming up as because I noticed you were a little jumbled before I jumped in too, so I don't think it's just me.
Yeah, I lost.
Because I see Jim completely fine. So Everybody is now. He's popping back.
Am I here now?
Yeah, you're there.
So
I
far,
see you.
Yeah, the problem was, and it looked like it was going well for a while, but I got 2 different bandwidths for the router,
just lost him.
and I get too far. Am I gone?
No, I got you, but we just lost Jim.
Jim, are you there?
I still see myself, but I guess
I think
I'm
that's
gone.
all you, Terry. I think you lost it.
Yeah. Hey, listen,
Let's
guys.
see.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you inviting me in. I'm going to watch your Cubs win tonight.
Good answer.
Yeah. I made my appearance, so I can cross this one off the list for the day. So I'm
That's
about
right.
done too.
All
No,
right.
I'm done. I appreciate you pinch hitting for me today, Jim, and hopefully
welcome.
you'll come back in for some of the other ones we're doing later on.
I sure will. Thanks again.
Yep. Bye.
Absolutely. All right, I'm out of here.
Okay. Thanks. Since Jason doesn't come, peace out. We will talk later, man. Do you want a copy of this stuff?